going to do today then is to look at a range of techniques and some different approaches that you might take to help you understand more about your customers and where your potential business might actually fit into the marketplace. So can I just ask you first of all, does anybody run their own business at the moment? Do I have a show of hands of anyone? Yes, down at the front. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do, please?
I'm a sports coach, so we teach rock climbing, sailing, mountain outdoor adventure sports to people who like to either improve their own skills or just go out and get out.
Okay, fantastic. David, you to the back. Okay, and can you tell us how long has your business been up and running?
About 1 year officially.
Okay, fantastic, well done. Anybody else? Okay. Has anybody else got ideas for a business that they would like to run, that they would like to set up in the future? You don't necessarily have to share what it is, but it's an indication of hands will be useful. Does anybody have an idea? Okay, that's great. What I would like you to do throughout the session is to bear in mind your own business proposition and your own ideas and start to answer some of the questions that we'll be asking and see whether that helps you with your thinking and your ideas to hopefully move those forward. So what we're going to look at is first of all, what is market research? What do we mean by that terminology? So if somebody says market research, what does it actually mean to you? And secondly, why do I need to do it? Because at the start of setting up a business, we're all very enthusiastic, we've got great ideas, and we just want to get out there and deal with our customers. But it's really important to get the market research done first and actually get your proposition correct. We're going to talk a little bit about how to do market research. And I guess most of you will be setting up small businesses, perhaps with some venture capital, but perhaps not, so budgets might be fairly tight. So we're going to talk very specifically about market research for small businesses where you don't have a huge amount of resource. I have some closing comments for you, and then I'll recommend some further resources that may be of interest. For instance, there's a really interesting podcast which came out a few months ago, which really summarises in about half an hour some of the great approaches that we can take with market research for small firms. So before we get started, can I just ask you what your views are on what you think market research might be? And we'll just take some of the ideas up here. Okay. What does market research mean to you at the moment? Yes, thank you. Pardon? Who are your customers, first of all? Okay, anything else? Yeah, thank you.
And to speak up,
Please.
conduct a survey in order to find out the target market.
Okay. So here's the target market. And one of the ways that you may do that, as you suggested, is to carry out a survey to do that. Anything else? What else does it mean to you?
Identifying the gaps in the market,
Yeah.
opportunities.
Really good point. So identify gaps in the market. Okay, anything else?
Identify your potential customers' consumption patterns and their behaviour.
So basically you're trying to find out more and more about your consumers so you can get to know what they might want in the future. So to identify consumer patterns. Okay, yes.
Find out about competition.
Yeah, really good point. You need to know what everybody else is doing in the marketplace. Does competition exist? Is there anyone else out there? Or maybe you've actually found a new niche. So the competition is really important. Anything else? They're the main points. Basically you want to find out who the customers are, who you're actually going to be selling your products or your service to. You can refine that a little bit more by actually defining your target market, and we're going to talk about ways to actually do that and classifications that you may use to help you really target who you want to communicate with and get your message out to. We're going to look at identifying market gaps, which is really important for small businesses where, perhaps again, as I said, you don't have huge budgets to do marketing, you're not necessarily going for a mass audience, so this is really important to you. Identifying consumer patterns, that's exactly what we're looking at, and the segmentation that we'll use and methodology for that will actually help you do that in more detail. And finally, we've mentioned the competition. It's great developing your product or service, but if somebody else is selling it at a cheaper price or a better quality, or perhaps with a different distribution method, then that may actually change the way that you think about things and how you can penetrate the market. So, what is market research? The definition can tell us it's the collection and analysis of information about customers, competitors, and the effectiveness of marketing programs, all of which you've really identified here. I think one of the things that it's really important to remember is market research is not a standalone activity. It's not something that you do and then you put the information in a drawer. It's really, really important that you keep coming back to that information, that you use it as part of your everyday decision-making process. So it really has to form an integral part of your business plan. Has anybody done sessions on business planning and how to write business plans? Just a couple of people. So you'll know what I'm talking about, where we need to make sure the market research is fed in at every single level of that business plan that you write, particularly if you're trying to persuade people to invest in your business. That's what's particularly important. I think one other thing to point out at this stage is market research can be a standalone project to perhaps launch a particular new product or service, or to answer a very specific question that you have. But more importantly, again, for small businesses, it needs to be done on an ad hoc basis, on an ongoing basis, where you actually start to collect information from your customers every time they have some kind of interaction with your business. So you can build up a portfolio of information about those people who are buying your products and services, and we will talk more about that. Has anybody actually carried out any market research? Has anybody here done anything that would actually tell them information about their business or their business idea? Okay, well, so new stuff for everybody then. Okay, first of all, let's think about why we need to do market research. In terms of new business startups, as I said, we can all be very enthusiastic and have great ideas about something that may be close to our own heart, something that we're very passionate about, or something that we actually think could be quite lucrative. And it's very, very easy to kind of jump in feet first, and people make that mistake quite easily just because their enthusiasm carries them away. Well, if you are going to launch a new business, it takes huge amounts of passion, great amount of time and energy, and probably money as well. You probably need to put some financial resources into it. So you need to make sure you've actually got the right decision-making processes in there, and you're making informed decisions based on facts and figures, rather than just your gut feel. I will actually add something to that, though, and say that your gut feel and your gut instinct is really, really important. And the things that can make you stand out from other businesses are the fact that you really understand your marketplace, or you do understand your customers, and that can be just something that you feel. But it's really important to back that up with something a little bit more substantial, and that's where the market research process comes in. So you can also use market research to test out new products or services. So perhaps you're already trading, so perhaps your sports coaching business that you mentioned down at the front, if you're actually looking to branch into a new type of customer or perhaps a new kind of activity, you might actually want to do some market research to find out if that could be potentially as successful as the market that you're already operating in. So again, for new products and new ideas, it's really important. You may have some feedback from your customers when you're already in business that tells you certain parts of your business that there's room for improvement, there's something that you could do to make it better. So something perhaps in the customer service area, or something in the way that you send out and distribute your product. There may be things that you could change to make them better. So again, talking to customers can give you some feedback on that, and actually make you more competitive in that area, and actually give the customer a more positive experience. And finally, we started to talk a little bit about competition and what the competitors are doing out there. Your market research can give you a really clear picture of what your competitors are doing, and we will actually look at some ways and means that you can carry those out. So the main areas that you would choose to look at are the customers, the competition, the marketplace that you actually operate in, products or services that you want to get out into the marketplace, and any suppliers that will be important to your business to actually make that happen. So they're the key areas that we're going to think about this evening.